Abusuya eyade a lawyer Martin Pebu ene OSP Kisi Agyaben abusuya sisi omo trend pa enyasem ketua. Yes. Nina said there's a battle going on between OSP Kisi Agyaben and lawyer Martin Pebu, a legal private practitioner and also a member of the oral team. Abusuya omo trend papa. Na abusuya eyade OSP atumi akoche lawyer Martin Pebu nina say enoma bi akoso no OSP Kisi Agyaben ani anje ho nti abusuya enam so ema ne eche lawyer Martin Pebu na abusuya just abedwafo atena se no mo nsem mo kan ina na se OSP ni just oni to me say oche lawyer Martin Pebu abusuya edi entia ye be call ni akwa koti no mo che mo nsem nso a after the removal of OSP petitions are hold on to me akwaka the office of the president abusuya omo hwe ni mu say Excellency John Dramani Mahama ebe hwe petitions mu na abusuya wafa emra kwan so na che say waji OSP Kisi Agyaben edi afri ho na busia omocho nsemu asa Kisi Agyaben ye yinu efri ho a yes obe face criminal law edi entia omo ekira se abra owo tumi se oche ekofo bi no wanye sa na emum obomodin supporto corruption ene se enioma ensese ekofo bi no ena Kisi Agyaben OSP support ye nti on be make sure so be face criminal law abusia we de yenko ne nti ensem no mu ankasa enchemu emrasese ha eda so aye be media gichabusia be so ase ene de de ka bani etwe channel so aye be so subscribe be like na abusia wa bo aso ahia for person be etie no anya bi etie yentie enkoma ekoso emrasese ha
and donated it to that office and then wrapped it up in independence. So number one, the OSP is not unconstitutional. But the point that has to be made is when you take somebody's powers and give it to somebody, it was for a limited purpose. It is on the first page of the act that established the OSP. I put it on Facebook and go and look at it.
Right.
It is specific for anti-corruption issues and related matters. Now, in pursuance of that, they are given some police powers, not plenary police powers. So indeed, I am saying here, and I'm asking Sami Dakon, who I'm bantering with on Facebook, they didn't have any jurisdiction to arrest Martin Pebu.
They didn't have any jurisdiction.
Oh,
absolutely.
They didn't have any jurisdiction. Look, Martin Pebu said somebody is corrupt. He said, you are inept. Please, if you don't have the skin to hear criticism from citizens, don't take public office. Don't go there. It is Martin Pebu's right as a citizen to say whatever he wants to say to anybody, with all due respect, from President Mahama down to anybody in public office. If you are offended, sue him in defamation. In fact, if, with all due respect, even if he insults you, it is not a crime. And we don't have time to go into all these things, but you must understand that these are the things that the Constitution does for a liberal society. So please, sue him and let him answer. Now, when he makes accusations of corruption against you, in fact, his responsibility is to make those petitions to the president. So I say here, the OSP had zero jurisdiction to even invite Martin Pebu. By the way, I'm part of Martin Pebu's legal team.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's for disclosure.
And our leader is lawyer Agbeshi Jakwasu, the former bar.
I just wanted to clear that.
Right.
I wasn't, but the point is, some of us advised him not to go.
Yes.
All right. He said, look, let me go. It doesn't spoil anything. I said, fine, that's fine. Anyway, then he comes there as we speak. We don't know what charge. He hasn't been charged. Confirm if you
he has. No, it's a caution statement.
You say he's not under investigation.
He's not.
But the OSP says that you are being investigated.
No,
that's what Sami Dakon.
No, it's false. It's false.
That is why I'm saying, what is the charge? What is his offense? With what jurisdiction or authority was he arrested?
Kopi, can I come in briefly? Sami is talking about the one that should come and give information to them. That's the one he's been mistakenly called under investigation.
When we talked, he said, you have been invited.
Yes.
Okay? It
to
means
provide information.
Invited to assist the OSP in investigation. No man has a responsibility to assist a state institution.
I see.
Okay? if you want me to help you, fine.
By your own voluntary.
Offer it voluntarily. And that's why we said, look, we know what is going on and it's a tussle between
as a duty of a citizen under Article 41. So it's a duty, but it's not a crime if I don't do it.
When he goes there, in fact, there was even an issue about the number of lawyers, etc. And I was like, so what if I also and everybody came?
Yeah.
Point is, then he gives an interview. And then somebody says he's obstructing. What was he obstructing? And if he's obstructing, okay, is it within the rules, the powers of the OSP to deal with that? So look, there are a lot of things to say, and for me, my interest is really that we don't ride on this to give a dog a bad name and hang it, because it's taking a lot of work for us to get this OSP thing done. And it's, however, going into this argument about scrapping the whole office.
But I just want to, before you get there, there's been a question about whether or not it is within the OSP's powers to investigate itself. So Martin Kpebu makes this allegation against the OSP, and it is the OSP that is investigating the allegations made by Martin Kpebu against that same office and the person.
Okay, there's a misunderstanding there.
Right in law.
By the Constitution, petitions go to the president, and the proper investigation is done according to the Constitution, not by the OSP. But every institution has a right to investigate allegations made against it as an administrative process.
Okay.
All right? So indeed, if the OSP did not have authority per se to investigate and make any decision concerning the kind of allegations that Martin Kpebu had made. Martin Kpebu says OSP is
except that after its removal, we can do a criminal investigation.
That's another matter.
Yes.
Okay. My point on the question is, it says SP is corrupt and whatever. That office did not have any constitutional right to make a determination on that issue.
I see.
You see? And if Martin Kpebu was scurrilous, reckless, and defamed Mr. Agyaben, who we all respect as a good criminal law scholar, then he can take him on personally. So as an institution, I repeat, the OSP had no jurisdiction in this matter, to the point where they proceed to arrest, detain him, and then all the things that happen. But again, like I said, the major issues are that we don't use this to kill something that has taken a lot of work to be done. It is not an unconstitutional office. It is a proper office. It is part of a larger architecture. There are others that are older than it that have done less than it. And if we have a problem with the special prosecutor, we shouldn't have a problem with the office of the special prosecutor. It is a necessary office. We need to keep it.
When I spoke to Professor Akroma, who presided over the entire exercise in Parliament on that night, you watched that interview, he said that upon hindsight, even though he presided over the process in Parliament, passing this act that established the Office of Special Prosecutor, he thinks that the office has outlived its usefulness. So, rather, that prior argument of the office not being needed in the architecture of the fight against corruption, and rather we strengthening the Director of Public Prosecution's office and then also the AG's office to do the work of the OSP, he thinks now it has more grounds to consider.
So, respectfully, Onupa, that argument came up in those days. And it was well debated and well settled. Look, we have had the AG's office for over 100 years. Consistently failed, not because there were bad people there. There were structural issues there. And in the discussion, the decisions had been made that, look, the better thing to look, there's a lot of legal stuff that goes on in government. The government does contracts, multi-million-dollar deals and whatever it is, has to be advised. A lawyer has to do that. That has been put under the Attorney General. The government has to prosecute everybody in this country that falls foul of the law. That has been put under the Attorney General. The presidency, which is a temporary office, you elect a president every 4 years, you go and come back. That presidency needs legal advice. The presidency as an executive is different from the state as the administration. The state is a wider body, okay? Now, that has also been put under the Attorney General. The person is an appointee of the president and a minister, sometimes Minister of Justice, also there. Is a member of, it's too much. The country has evolved, things have become complex. So the conclusion was that, look, we should have a Solicitor General, somebody who advises government on non-criminal issues. The contracts, all these electricity things that we end up with judgment debts and whatever it is. Sometimes it's time. You need somebody to focus on that. That should be somebody independent, has a term of office, does the work. And then somebody who now is called the Director of Public Prosecutions, who is prosecuting everybody, and it's too much. So they've given some to SNIT, they've given some to police, they've given some to IOCO. We should properly set up a public prosecutions office that does prosecutions and does it well, separate from a member of cabinet who is appointed by the president, because it is clear to us after 100 years or so of trying that somebody cannot come out of a team appointed by the president to prosecute his own people. And we know by experience in this country that a lot of the corruption comes from somehow the executive system. It's the politicians and their friends. So let me make this point and make it clear, because it was very obvious to those of us who were in the beginning. The politicians have never liked the OSP idea. From the beginning, they didn't like it. They made all the arguments they've made. It's the same political process and everything. Then, finally, when we resolved that issue, they said, okay, and that's where Senior Michael Quay comes in. They reluctantly had to yield to the superior argument that, look, we can't continue doing the same things.
Right.
Now, so all these things were there. And there were other things. This is part of why we led for the Auditor General to deal with some of the search. Let me just explain a bit. You have internal audit agency. For preventing corruption, the internal auditors had to do their work. Okay, we have to strengthen that. That is a work ongoing. If that happens, the Auditor General has to catch the malfeasance. When they catch the malfeasance, recently I've spoken to Mr. Domelo and said, look, out of Public Accounts Committee, straight, everybody should go through IOCO, all right, DPP, and then Special Prosecutor. Now, to strengthen that, we fought for RTI. Because things were happening. I went to court to say, look, you need to give us information on bus branding. They refused to. The court ruled in our favor. We got RTI. It's a huge architecture we are dealing with. The OSP was pushed forward and prioritized because executive corruption was terrible. That is also what led the World Bank to start pushing government to put in this causing financial loss law. There's so much that has happened in the past 20 years. So look, when one thing happens over my brother Martin Kwebu, and all of a sudden people want to use that to slash down a lot of work that has been done. Let me say here and now, this country needs the OSP. If we don't want the people, then we need to change them. Building institutions is not a 1 day or 2 day or 10-year affair. Some of these institutions are over 100 years old. They are still there. IOCO has been there all these years. Okay? Why haven't we called for their scrapping? It is because it is touching them. So look, all due respect to some of my friends in parliament who were making those arguments, we'll meet and we'll talk about it. But these issues have been debated sufficiently. The OSP has not failed. It is a work in progress, and it is a victim of its own high expectations. People are expecting so much out of the OSP. I was one of the first people who criticized the OSP over the Ken Ofori-Atta issue on another platform.
Right.
And said that they should go and prosecute him in absentia, even though he was my own friend and mentor. Okay, people said I said Ken Ofori-Atta shouldn't come to the country. No, I said his presence here was not necessary, and I didn't understand why the OSP was not going forward when it had the powers in law to do so, to prosecute him. It led to all kinds of things. And that is what Martin is taking up on. And saying that, look, you shouldn't have allowed them to go anyway. When I said they should prosecute in absentia, there was a whole discussion about whether absentia prosecution was possible in this country. Today, as we are speaking, the prosecution in absentia is proceeding. After so much talk, a year of no action. And that's what Martin is talking about. That OSP, there's a reason why you were put there. And please, get down and do your work, stop the talking and act. And now when he says that he has even other information, I haven't accused him of any other thing. Let me say, to his benefit, the OSP has been very useful. In a few years back, people planned to take up Tema Oil Refinery. By now, we would have lost it as a country. They were going to basically take it up and buy it for nothing. It is the OSP we went to. I led. We went to. He wrote letters, stopped things. And that's why Tema Oil Refinery is there. So there are positives, there are benefits,
so would you say
and there
that
are things
with the
that
work
we
of
have
the
gotten out of the
OSP over
OSP.
the period, it justifies its existence?
The OSP existence is extremely justified. Look, even people talk about his budgetary allocations and whatever it is. Look, if the OSP becomes fully functional, and I say so because there are so many things that are left to be done, they will save us multiples. Look, do you know how much one corruption case cost us? So please, even now, I think the OSP is doing good. We just want it to do more. Like I said, it's a victim of its own high expectations. Why are we not putting the same pressure on IOCO? All right? And people talk about the Attorney General. We should go back to the Attorney General. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. That Attorney General, that whole office should be reconceived. All right? There are very good men there. I know them. but they are handicapped. And it's not because they don't want to do their job. So please, let us go forward to do the things that we need to do to finish this work that we've started, because we still have a problem with corruption in this country. PPA, okay, is part of the setup that led to this, public procurement, so that you prevent these things. PPA has had its problems. Have we called for the abolition of PPA? We should strengthen PPA, okay, jail the people who are messing around there, okay, and make sure it works.
Well, Professor Michael Quay
So
did
that's
not
what we
make
should
that
do.
proposal of scrapping it in a vacuum. He says, strengthen the Director of Public Prosecution and also the Attorney General, and they can do the work of the OSP. Even though these were arguments that were advanced during the process of the establishment of the office. Now he says there's some reason to it.
The history will show, one, the auditor, the Attorney General's office is the largest law firm in Ghana. It is the most resourced law firm in Ghana. The people who work in the Attorney General's office averagely are paid better than people in private law firms. Okay? This strengthening argument, we've heard it over and over again, and a lot has been done. Zero, nothing will make it change because of the basics. All right? Like I'm saying, a president sits at an executive apex, appoints ministers, including one of them who is a prosecutor. And that is in the Constitution. They are bound to do that. That one person cannot turn around and prosecute his own friends and his own colleagues. And let me tell you, today as we speak, the good men who are at the Aegis office today, in the last 8 years when people had all kinds of problems and they were in court, when they came in, they issued a series of nolle prosequis. And all those people are free today. Who tells you that the next AG will not issue a series of nolle prosequis for all this series of people who are being, prosecuted
but when
today?
your special prosecutor allows Ofuriatta to run, the value is the same.
Hold on.
When you see the allegations, it's worse. Please, Kofi.
I hear what you're saying, but the point is, you see, a special prosecutor is not the same as the AG.
Oh, it's the same value. It's the same value. We're human beings at the end.
Okay. But you get my point? My point is, we've tried it. And like I said, the AG's office is over 100 years old. And this strengthened them so that we've strengthened and that whatever it is, structurally they are not capable, okay, of doing some of these things. And even if they did, the next round, they will come and issue nolle prosequis. If we set up an independent prosecution entity, separate from the executive, which other people have done, okay, it is more likely that we'll succeed. And the OSP actually, much as they have not succeeded, it's only 7 years old. Give them time. One of these days we'll get a sound, sane, inert, stable, effective person there, and we will be happy that we did what we did. We definitely shouldn't go back to the old system that has failed.
All right. Governmental is a private legal practitioner. Kofi is going to leave us in a bit. But let the Jita Maklo. So I'm separating the issues from what happened to involving Martin Pebu on Wednesday night, and then the call. So we got into the calls for the scrapping, but let's go back to exactly what happened to him, the ordeal he has just narrated to us, and the fact that, as has been established by Kofi Bento, that it had no basis in law.
Okay, so
this experience of Martin Pebu on Wednesday night.
So once again, good morning to our viewers. Because all through my life, I've always been on the side of, I've always been the opposite side of the police and law enforcement officers. My sympathies are always to persons who have any brush with the law. And I've always maintained that as for a brush with the law, it can happen to anybody. In fact, in my maybe a little of 12 years practice, I've seen police officers getting arrested, prosecuted, and some convicted. I have seen all kinds of things happen. In fact, our history will tell you that by 1984, the special prosecutor then, Apia had to run away to London because as the special prosecutor at that time, he was found to have taken money on his investigation on Kowu's motors.
I see.
And therefore ran. And so you notice that the authority for the proposition, that, our criminal jurisdiction, whether or not it's territorial or extraterritorial, was a defining moment in the Apia and the Republic, because after he took the money, in his Ghana Commercial Bank London branch, account, and he was to be prosecuted. His claim was that hey, the money was received in the London branch, and so the crime didn't happen in Ghana, and therefore our court did not have jurisdiction over him. And that was when the court had to make a pronouncement on that. At the time when he was the special prosecutor, my senior Asasi Jima was his deputy. Mr. Bright Akwete became a special prosecutor. Eventually he had to run away to the Gambia. Our political history has the benefit of experimenting this concept of special prosecutor. Now, in the specific case of our brother Machinamidu, they are all Martins.
Exactly.
Is that I sympathize with him and what he went through, the ordeal. I think it was not necessary. I also think that the process should have been handled with a bit of tact. Extreme bit of tact. And I'm sure that if those tacts were applied, matters would not have degenerated to that. I have a personal principle in public office. You see, when you are in public office, you must clearly identify persons who can create problems for you.
Avoid some things.
Yes. And have a strategy of avoidance. It is not because you can't fight them, because they have nothing to lose.
True.
In the scheme of affairs, my senior Martin Kwebu is a private legal practitioner. That's what he does. I'm not sure he has any interest of working in the public service. His is public advocacy. And so when such a person comes on your case, yours is to handle it with sobriety and extreme tact. You do that not because you can't fight. Because sometimes you must, as it were, put much premium on your personal peace of mind over every other thing. Look, if you, and as a result of these matters, what I had to do was to go back for the parliamentary debates on the establishment of the office of the special prosecutor. I really wanted to appreciate the discussions and the conversations that animated the decision to set up the office. So I went back to look at the parliamentary debate, right, on the 26th day of October 2017. The committee's report, the statement by Gloria Kufu, the statement by Chairman Sabunsu, the statement by Mahama Yariga, the then minority leader Haruna Idrisu, my senior Roxin Eche Dafiamakbo, what Mahama Yariga said during the debate, what Chairman Sabunsu said during the debate. And I look after 5 years or 6 years of the, from 2017, of the establishment of the office to date, and I say that, look, this country...